Okay, we are recording. Adrian Sherwood, how are you today, mate?
Yeah, can't complain, Stu. Very nice, lovely day, and looking forward to the madness of the month ahead.
Wonderful. Well, look, before we even get onto your playlist, what's the month ahead?
Well, we started the On You Sound label in 1980, the very end of 1980, and we were going with the release of the Fade Away single with Learn a Language on the other side, and then we were going to celebrate October over 2 years ago. 2 years ago, the 40th anniversary party, and obviously with the COVID, etc., got cancelled once, twice, and now on the 30th of this month, we're having a party at the Forum, which is where we always used to do, where it was formerly the Town and Country Club, the Forum in Kentish Town. So that's Saturday the 30th of April, and we've got like a kind of little bit reunited. It's never going to happen, this gig. We've got Horace Andy coming because we've just done a great album with him, which I'm very proud of. Tackhead for the first time in over a decade with Mark Stewart and the Mafia. Creation Rebel, African Head Charge, Jeb Roy Nichols, Tessa Pollitt DJing. My daughter Denise is coming doing a tune which she made a beautiful album that's not that well known, but I'm very pleased with as well. And also hopefully Rita Mora is going to be joining us. Loads of guests, Daddy Freddie. It's a big 40th anniversary party anyway. That's the thing.
Wonderful. Well, for people that want to learn more about your daughter Denise, she guested on this podcast about 2 years ago, and it's a wonderful episode. So you can go and hear Denise chatting about her life and career within music, and it's a wonderful listen. But today we're about Adrian Sherwood. So going to kick off the playlist and ask you, please, to tell me the song that you regard as having the greatest ever intro, please, Adrian.
When I was asked that question, as a kid, I was always a fan of all the reggae tunes with mad intros, and this one isn't a mad intro. I really like it for several reasons. I'm trying to turn this blooming phone off so it doesn't ring. I can't get my nail in it. The song I've chosen is Black Man Time by Iroy, because at the beginning of this tune, Iroy's talking to a young lad, on the street, and it's all about. It was one of those times where, in America, they had all the brilliant blaxploitation movies and the wonderful kind of empowerment for black people, and also in Jamaica you had the Garveyist movements, whatever, and it was a great time. It was all, respect to my brother, my sister, respect this, and the Jamaican chat that's going on in that one. It's the song's about Black Man Time, improvement and everything, and it starts off where he's chatting to a youth about about things, and the kid's bigging him up, saying how he likes tubbies and all this, and then he asks him for 10 cents to buy a spliff, and Iroy says to him, well, he says, I don't really support that, but if it's food, I'll give you food for thought. Here you go. And it's just, to me, it was my favorite intro. Do are you familiar with the song?
I have. When I got your list over, I hadn't heard it before, but I've listened through ahead of this.
What a song!
It's a beautiful little string arrangement as well in there, isn't there?
That tune's one heavy tune. It's a brilliant tune.
Lovely. When I also kind of am interested, and certainly for somebody that works in the field of music that you're most known for, like, how do you? Because when I speak to people that make, I guess, more commercial pop music, there's so much emphasis nowadays on getting that intro and having everybody pulled in within the first 2 seconds, because attention spans of, are rapidly getting shorter. I just wonder, what's the sort of creative process for you when working on music, like, and essentially the intro?
Well, it certainly isn't that world,
Of course.
I've never really, honest, I've only ever made tunes for myself or with my mates, or to do. I mean, obviously I've done loads and loads of jobs, which is usually to prop up my label, But
yeah.
that process, to me, I've watched great songwriters like the Bee Gees in, I saw a film about them where they're working over, over and over again on line after line after line, pre-chorus, chorus, this. And I know some people who I really respect who are fantastic songwriters who actually labor for hours about the structure. Obviously you've got to write a structure for a song. That just isn't my world. I'd write, I'm not like a proper musician, or, when I write songs, I maybe do B lines or choruses or things myself. I'm not really like a proper, songwriter. I respect the art of it, but I'd never go in that process. Mine would be if say one of the people I work with, Mark Stewart, Jeb Nichols, LSK, or Horace, or anybody's written a good song, we just go about how we record it, and then we work on the arrangements and structures. But it's not a contrived. A lot of people are just literally, it's a formulaic thing, even down to the key and everything. It's like I walk in, if I'm going in Curry's or in the supermarket, so the music's playing, I can listen to the tunes, and are probably the same as a lot of other musicians or producers like myself. You can hear what's going to happen next. You can hear the way it's constructed, particularly because it's digitally played. It hasn't got the charm of the old school stuff, And that applies to reggae as much as anything else, because it's largely programmed. And when I hear something that's got charm in it, that's all I'm trying to instill in my productions, is I'm fighting really hard to make it not sound like that formulaic. Although it will do to a lot of ears. Obviously, if it's a tradition, a traditional song, it's anyway, it's something I respect people who are great songwriters. And in the old days, you had teams. At Motown, you'd have a team of writers, and so they took it, or Stock Aitken Waterman or whoever. They were teams writing to be successful. And I suppose I'm a bit of a jerk. Like I wasn't really thinking about wasn't thinking I've got to try and do this formula to try and make some money. People used to say it to me, why don't you make a hit and then you can finance and do what you really want to do? I just kept thinking what we were doing was great and would sell 10 times as much as it did. I never thought about songs as a contrived thing to, equal the jackpot or something.
Of course. Let's take you back. And for track 2, I'm going to ask you, please, Adrian, to tell me the song that you remember hearing, the first song you remember hearing that had an emotional impact on you, please.
Well, I've listed, I used to go out for the gimmicky records. I used to love all the rude reggae records, all the kind of, the good little dance tunes, the ska and everything. And then I was in the club and I heard Bob Andy's Life, and I thought, wow, that just really resonated with me. And I was lucky enough to know Bob Andy and meet him a few times, and what an artist, what a great songwriter. And that song, that and Fade Away, Junior Biles, were just kind of monumental, where I'd started really checking the lyrics, previously would sit at home and listen to stuff and whatever. And when I heard those tunes, those songs, great songwriters, great.
Where was home growing up, mate?
Well, I was born in London, but then I lived in Farnham Road, Britwell, Slough. And then when I was 9, I moved to the area of High Wycombe. And so really my formative years were all in and around High Wycombe.
How was that?
I like High Wycombe. I mean, the people there are a bit of kind of, all my friends from Wycombe are solid, and I grew up with people like Clem Bushy and that, I've listed further in down my list. And we had a good community of folk from, my school was multiracial, which is a blessing. There were Jamaicans, largely Vincentians though, St. Vincent. There are Italian extract, Irish, Pakistani, Sikh, Hindi. There was it was a mixed school, and I thank God it was. And we had it was good little crews and little bonds, and people were fighting all that racist thing, and I felt it was a good place, good place for me to grow up.
to go back to your track, I asked you to tell me the first song that you had an emotional reaction to. If you had to pinpoint the emotion that that record gave you, what would it have been?
A positive one.
That's good.
Positive emotion, because it was like, it's very up for life by Bandit. If everything in life is like, we'd have to fight, and I could have listed You Don't Know, because You Don't Know is a very deep song that operates on about 3 different levels, whereas you think they're talking down, putting the guy down, and then they also start responding where they say, people will never know of the joys you share with your ghetto kin. You're tired of rich happenings, and that's a brilliant line. Tired of rich happenings, one of Bob Andy's lyrics, and I think everybody's pretty tired of rich happenings.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
That's a different song, mind you, but Life.
Yeah.
When I heard Life, I was just like, it was like life affirming. It was really, really powerful. I think I was about 14 or something when I heard that.
I'm going to stay in the formative years for track 3, and I'm going to ask you, Adrian, to tell me the song that reminds you of your time at school, please.
Well, we grew up with. I could have cited loads. I just thinking of quite an upful mad one was Ride a White Swan, T-Rex, or I could have listed loads. We were growing up, and I could have listed some of the Motown songs. I could have listed Michael Jackson. Ben, because we were the same age. And hearing those songs, and but I just think the T-Rex. Mark Bolan was this kind of flamboyant, and I love Deborah, Deborah, and all those other songs, and that was just kind of this bounce little pop tune. I kind of it didn't fall into the things I got into later, all the kind of funk and reggae things that took out. For a long time we were going to funk dances and onto reggae places in Luton, and stuff, and I could have listed any of those tunes or any of the reggae ones, but in the middle with the pop world, you had great things. I don't like to say it, like the Glitter Band and and all this, those tunes were rock and roll and all that. Although it's like Hush Hush, they mustn't mention it. But
well, it's strange. So many people reference, the bands like that and the Sweet and things like that, and unfortunately, like, I don't know if it's unfortunate or not, but obviously there's so much, people don't like to mention his name anymore, but some of them songs are absolute crackers, and if you separate the music from the artist, then
despicable, creepy, horrible. I'm just saying, but that was what we got with.
Yeah, of course.
And in those days, it was also a lot of creepy, despicable stuff going on. Attitudes to women, to people of who were different. It wasn't some great time in the 70s.
Well, you mentioned sort of like some of the glam acts. Then, like, how much of a impact did punk have on you, Adrian?
Well, I was already immersed in the reggae scene that we did gigs. I did gigs with Jar Wash at the Vortex. I was down the 100 Club. My friend from High Wycombe, Ron Watts, who actually we started a little label and a little shop with when I was 17. I was a junior partner. Ron was the promoter for Tuesday nights at the 100 Club. And Thursday nights was Ron and Nanda, an old Jewish couple who promoted the reggae. And so to me, I was listening to the punk, so-called punk, new wave, call it what you like. It weren't my cup of tea, quite honestly.
Sure.
But I loved the actual, so that sounds really dismissive just saying that, because I got to appreciate everything a bit later. But at the time, we'd be going there and there'd be like everyone pogoing away. It was like a madhouse, people spitting at the bands. We did gigs where people were trying to spit at us, and our guitarist kicked somebody in the face because they were spitting at him. And it weren't exactly me thinking, wow, I love this, I can tell you. And we did gigs all the time. So I actually went there to a load of the gigs, and I found it really like, oh wow, this is mental. I like it for the wrong reasons. I weren't thinking, this music is great, and but looking back, you can see which ones were great, and how great like the Pistols songs were, and some of the Clash songs and whatever. But I think it was it's so important, and what it did, you know, and every aspect of it, the implications of, like, you know, do it yourself things, we can do anything, and also the fact that a lot of the crowd totally related to the reggae as well, you know, a good portion of them, because of the, you know, the message in a lot of the reggae music. And then John Lydon, you know, you'd see John would be down at and other bands, you know, Billy Idol or whatever, might come down on a Thursday night to the 100 Club for the reggae shows. They wouldn't certainly be going out and hanging out on a Tuesday night. You know, they'd be going to the reggae ones. And you know, I think, you know, I was there or thereabouts and witnessed it all, but you know.
And just going back to school, was that an enjoyable experience?
Well, school for everybody has its ups and downs. Yeah, school was fine for me. I had some very dear friends who are I still got, you know, my best friend from school from when I was 12. I still speak to all, you know, every month. He's a painter and decorator, and my other mate Gilbert, whose sister, I used to sit in Jean's room listening to the reggae. Blessing me, passed, but I've still got, you know, a couple of friends from my very early years, you know, and I'm proud of that, really. And you know, my school days, I think everyone has, you know, you go through puberty, growing up, having a few scraps, having to find a little set of mates. And no, I look back at my school days quite fondly. That was a good time. And also we're all obsessed with music and buying records, and you know, that was
Did you have any idea what you wanted to do when you was at school?
Well, I was DJing from when I was 13 at school. We used to take over the science lab at lunchtimes to raise money for the old people's thing, you know, for old people's Christmas party that we did. Yeah. And then there was a club in town, and the owner, who's like, because I didn't have a father, my dad died when I was 5, and he kind of took me under his wings and said, "Come on, do you fancy doing Joe Farquharson?" And he had a club called the Newlands Club, which is actually where many years later Rodigan did his first ever gig, and because he was from Oxford. And Joe said, "Let's do Saturday afternoons." And within a year or so, we were doing Saturday afternoons, Sunday evenings, and opening early on in the evening before the main act. So just while it was coming in, we'd get like a couple of quid or whatever, and then Emperor Roscoe, Dave Lee Travis, Johnny Walker, Steve Bernard, whoever would be playing whatever that night. And Joe it was Joe who brought me into the record business, to be honest with you. I just was very lucky. Yeah. I'm a complete chancer who took his, you know, but I was very passionate about, you know, the music, and you know, our little Roadrunner disco was my starting point, from the school lab to the Newlands Club. Then we're doing things at the town hall, and by the time I was 17, I'd finished. I didn't start DJing again until I did Never Trust a Hippie. And then I started DJing just because people were saying, "Your name's on the front cover, come and do something." But I didn't DJ from being 17 till I did that album. Although I just did front of house live mixing dub shows, you know. I mean, not dub shows, our concerts.
Saying that you was, you know, DJing from 13 to 17, you know, to audiences and such, was you a confident kid?
Not overly, I think. No, not overly. Probably, you know, just grinning all the time in the sense. I like this. And then when you got into the weed, when I was about 15, I was just grinning even more. My eyes were closed a bit, you know.
Wonderful. Right, I'm going to ask you for track 4, Adrian, to tell me the first song you remember buying from a record store, please.
Right. Well, this is a funny one. I think the first thing I remember as buying was actually Joe ran a market stall, and I couldn't, honestly, I know it sounds terrible, I can't remember the first record, but I think one of the first records was we heard Hijacked by Joe Gibbs playing. And I used to love the gimmicky records, and you know, things like Census Taker, Rupie Edwards, and To the Fields, Bongo Herman, and all these ones that had little intros to them, or The Law by Andy Capp. So it was one of those ones, but I think it might have been hijacked by Joe Gibbs around 1970.
And for somebody that, I guess the genres that you work in, I guess in the UK in regards to record shops, you're looking at more sort of independent record stores to get music back then. Like, just talk about from like your
There weren't any really then. There weren't any that many. There was a shop. There was a couple of shops in town. Sorry, they were independent.
Yeah.
But they're still stocking a lot of the mainstream stuff. The specialists were mainly in market stalls or in London. You know.
Yeah. And so, what was your relationship with like the independent record store? And I guess essentially, as you say, like, you know, going to those markets to find those sort of, you know, something more specialist that you're not going to get in a HMV.
Well, my relationship when I was 12, 13, 14 was nothing. I just stood there listening because it was good at the reggae stall because they'd be playing the music. It'd be like a DJ playing off one turntable, and then people stick their hands up and buy something. And so I wasn't like kind of analyze. You know, no one analysed anything. It's just I want to get that. And then people would sit in their house with a little record player in a little box, and you sit in your bedroom in a box with your little box record player, and put 7 singles or 8, and then they just automatically play one after another like a jukebox for you. And that's what we did. And I didn't, you know, I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do anything. I just was like a little, you know, buy whatever I liked. I bought pop tunes. I bought, you know, I remember buying Rod Stewart tunes, and remember Python Lee Jackson in A Broken Dream, or I remember John Tongus, and I like Mungo Jerry. You know, I had all the 7-inches alongside them though. I had all the soul tunes, the Tamla, and what happened, I kept buying reggae and really liking it. I loved buying the Rude records, and then the ones with the funny intros, and eventually I got into the singers. And then as the years passed, I just kept liking that, and the other ones meant less and less to me.
And you said that when you got to sort of 17, your friend got you involved in the sort of music industry, and I touched on confidence a moment ago, Adrian. I just want to know that we're sitting here now, and you know, your career's as strong as ever, and it's never easy to, you know, you've chosen an industry which is one of the most cutthroat and difficult and tough industries to have any success, let alone maintain success. So I just want to know, aside from sort of confidence, like, would you say that like you're quite driven?
Oh yeah, totally. I know I am 100%. I don't give up. That's the thing. And if I think I'm doing the right thing, I feel, you know, I've never had to run away from anybody or hide. People who know me can still reach me. A lot of people have had to change their numbers and whatever, you know. And that side is trying to run the business is the most difficult thing. You're trying to deal with looking after the business, and I'm not the greatest at it. So I was always quite happy when someone else dealt with the business. But if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be able to make the records I wanted to make. So
yeah,
I'm very driven, and I also don't give up. I want to keep going till I can get things to the level I think they need to be. And luckily, I've got like my manager Ray and my friends like Bobby and loads of others. You know, they're not kind of sycophantic. They kind of, it could be better, and push me as well. So it's a matter of, you know, I've got a good set of people around me, good family, and I like to think the friends I have helped me as well. And on top of that, like I said, I don't give up. So not yet, anyway.
I just want to talk about something that, because Denise brought it up when she was on the podcast as well, and it's the first time that I'd seen you. I saw you probably early 2000s on tour with Blur. Like, how did that come about? Because, you know, obviously I know you'd remixed it was Death of the Party, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Blur, and I think Damon was aware of it, so was some of the band, and they said, "Oh, we need a support act. We don't want to bring a whole band." They said, "Oh, let's get Sherwood on the thing." So I brought Ghetto Priest and Den doing a little one tune, kind of bluffing it on a tune because she'll see how much she wanted it. Then really interested in the record business. You know, she's a psychotherapist. She's very good as well. She's not really interested in the music so much. She came, and that tour kind of probably made her decide, hell, I don't like this. But we got the Blur tour. I think it's literally the agents chatted out. My agent said, "Oh, look, you know, who books the gigs?" And he said, "Look, you know, Blur up for having you doing support acts." Little did I know that Blur fans hate reggae. Most of them, they do. They're like, it's a split camp. Am I all right to pause for 2 minutes?
Of course you are, mate.
I'm busting for a pee.
No worries.
Do you mind? I'm going to take you back downstairs. I've got to have a piss. Been hanging on since the beginning of the thing. So we'll go back to this in a minute. You can edit it, can't you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Jeez, I hope so. Otherwise, you reach a certain age, and you're right.
Oh, don't, mate. I'm 48, and it happens to me all the time.
I'm 64, and it's fucking hard. Oh, give me 1 minute. Okay?
All right, mate.
Oh, I can enjoy the rest of the interview now. Right, so let's back on Blur. Yeah. So Blur, the Blur tour was I enjoyed it. We took Ghetto Priest with us, you know, who sings with ADF, is my friend, and he's a kind of underrated artist as well. He made a couple of very good records, and the crowd, you know, it was quite clear, and they'd given us quite a long slot to do, like an hour and a half or something. You know,
that's long for a support, isn't it?
Well, yeah, whatever. The worst was when I supported Queens of the Stone Age, and they had me doing 2.5 hours with the crowd. That was like, that was a mental one, and in stadiums, like I did that one as well. But and they clearly hated me, you know. But I was playing. David Holmes gave me some tunes as well, so I didn't just play a reggae. So I tailored it my best, but it was just too long.
Yeah.
If I'd done an hour, I'd have been fine. But the Blur fans are really weird. I think, you know, the Gorillaz, I don't think their fans particularly like Blur. There will be obviously some percentage crossover that love everything Damon Albarn does. But wow, that was something else. That was very, very hard.
Yeah,
I'm sure. I don't know if Denise said to you that was not an easy.
Things like that, and things like the remix work and that, you know, and you know, there's obviously a huge list of who's of who you've have worked with. Is some of them sort of projects like the remixing and some of the tour supports? Is that things that you kind of weigh up the pros and cons? Like, well, look, I can, you know, the money from that can be something that can help sort of, you know, with the label and things like that. Is that how it works?
Well, I'm afraid to say, look, obviously when I'm doing something, I always think if I can add something to somebody's work. Sometimes people come to me, and I was offered things that were hugely successful and didn't do them because I thought what they'd played me was really good. And I didn't want to kind of, well, if I tell you this sounds mad, but I can name a few things that I was offered, and I thought, well, this sounds really good as it is. And I visualized the person who put it together as somebody who's not really well known or whatever. And then they suddenly pushed him out of the way and give the job to somebody else. And I won't name names, but I turned a few things down that sold absolutely mega amounts. And then I did other things where I thought, well, I can improve that. I'll do this.
Yeah.
And I did it though, primarily to get to keep On You ticking over.
Yeah.
I put all the money for everything always into the bin On You to try and try and improve the label and keep it going.
Yeah.
But I haven't got regrets really. I mean, I some things I should have done that I didn't, and then other things I perhaps could have done a better job on. But people usually got me in and thought it started in a time when you could release 7 format versions of a tune.
Yeah.
Pink vinyl, red vinyl, something with a silly cover, all the same mix for collectors, and people were gullible enough to buy all 3 versions who were a hardcore fan of whoever. And then they'd say, oh, let's get Adrian in to do a wacky, weird remix, And this was where I was a lot of the time throughout the 80s, not doing the main version. They'd get me in to do the quirky, messed up version to help push it into the charts a bit more.
Yeah. Well,
it's my lot in life,
the quirky weird guy. I want to. We've spoken about DJing at a young age, but I want to talk about clubbing a little bit now for track 5, mate, and ask you to tell me the song, if you had to pick one that really soundtracked your years clubbing.
Well, my years clubbing wasn't in the 90s or anything. I'm talking my first years I went clubbing. I used to go to soul clubs or reggae clubs after, or blues parties after with my West Indian friends, and we'd start off going on a bus over to Luton or to Dunstable, to like the California ballrooms, which was brilliant, or there's quite a few other venues we went to, and I used to love things like, I Got You by Joe Tex, or the Funky Chicken, Rufus Thomas, and these tunes were things that just kept coming up and up when I was going clubbing, I could cite James Brown's Sex Machine or quite a lot. There's no kind of one, Gloria Gaynor type anthem or something that comes to mind, but
all 3 of them tracks have got killer intros.
Yeah,
that Joe Tex one's a cracking intro.
Yeah. You knew that tune before.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
And I could go on and on. We used to go to the Northern Soul clubs in Farnham, and I wasn't even a Northern Soul fan. Afternoon at the Rhino and all those tunes, and I can't even remember all the things. I used to go with my mates and check that out. Go in their car, but I didn't have a license when I was first going out, and my mum, bless her, I used to say I was staying at Trevor's house, and there weren't mobiles in those days. One weekend I didn't come back because we got stuck in Luton, and I think I was in my friend Errol Morris's little Anglia. We were sleeping in the back of it, and I didn't speak to her from the Friday, and it was a Sunday, and by the time I got home, half the Thames Valley police were looking for me. My mum, bless her heart, she was like worried sick about her only child that she had, so it was like
brilliant. Brilliant.
That was, Dunstable was our go-to place, and those tunes, anyway, those tunes I just like them, so that's why I mentioned them. I don't really have like a kind of my favorite dance anthems. Is that?
No, it's not got to be a dance anthem. It's literally like wherever you went to party, like whatever, was the tune that you loved.
Well, I Got You and Funky Chicken, they were just quite joyous.
Massively.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take you home for track 6. Favorite song from an artist from your home county, please.
It was really funny. My home county was Buckinghamshire.
Yeah.
My accent's Bucks. People think I'm from East London, but it's a complete Bucks accent. And it's really funny. I was trying to think, God, it's really funny. Howard Jones, right?
He's High Wycombe, isn't he?
Yeah, but his dad was my maths teacher at college.
Really?
A little fella, yeah, he's a little fella. So it was a really funny. It was that was good because I failed my maths. And I had to do maths again because I was going to do A levels, and I left after a year. And he was my maths teacher, and his son had just started making tunes, and he said,
"Brilliant."
I'm thinking, well, who? I mean, also Osabisa lived there. Teddy, Ossie, and Soccer was my mate from the town. He played percussion on Starship Africa for me. And I was thinking, you know, well, I could have lived so. But then I have to say that my friend, who weirdly lives about 100 yards from me here, is the great Clem Bushy. Are you familiar with Clem?
I'm not, no.
Well, Clem Bushy basically is a producer, but he's also an artist. He's put out singing records. He also plays guitar and everything. But he and Dennis Bovell created Lovers Rock. He produced all the kind of great Louisa Mark records.
Oh, really?
And on and on and on. He's a very interesting guy. And he's done everything from that. But he also did a real seminal album, Patti Smith's favorite album at the time, Man of Warrior, Tapazuki. So I would have to give a big up to, from Bucks, Clem Bushy, by the label Bush Ranger. And yeah, excuse me. He had he was proper, you know, in our town, you know, when we were down the Newlands, everyone looked up to Clem, and you know, he's my friend now. He lives in Ramsgate,
Yeah.
on the green right by me here.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. For the last track, Adrian, it's an opportunity to turn someone onto something that you think they are unaware of. And it's a song that many people may not know that you would like them to hear, please.
Right. Well, this tune, I came across it. A French friend who ran the radio station, Radio Nova, introduced it to me. He's passed as well. What a great man! And the song is called Cadia Blues by Orchestra de Palette, and it's have you played it?
I have, yeah.
Had you heard it before?
I hadn't, no.
Well, there you go. What do you think of it?
I thought it was glorious.
Yeah, it's a stunning bit of thing, and that's from 1961.
Yeah.
Or 60, I think 61, 62. And it's just like, whoa, that tune just funny, I've done gigs and I thought there's a really messed up vibe in the gig. You know, it's like not messed up, but it wasn't quite right in the gig. And I'm finishing after a band that's played, and I've got to do they don't want just a whole reggae set, and I can do what I like really, but I'm thinking, okay, what we'll do to settle this. And I just go on and put that on. Yeah. And I got my noise pad and a couple of effects. And before you know, and after that tune, I'd slam in like a kind of really powerful tune. But I'd use that to set on a really odd festival kind of thing. And it always worked because it would just, and I'm not even play it too loud. It would just go, oh, what's going on there? What's going on there? And then off you go, you know.
Lovely. Well, we make it easy for people to go and explore that, because we put together a little online playlist where people can go and check out all the records that you've chosen today, Adrian. And as this year's kind of gathering pace, and we're getting close to summer already, we're getting glimpses of sunshine and such. We're out of lockdown, which is lovely. You know, clubs and festivals and tours and everything seems to be getting back up to speed. What are you looking forward to personally from the rest of this year, mate? And what's going to be happening professionally?
I'm looking forward to the conflict in the Ukraine ending.
Oh, don't, mate. I drove out there about 2 weeks ago, and I've done an aid run. I went out to the border, and I can't talk about, not that, but I can't talk about that conflict enough, because it feels that like other things are starting to be put above that on the news now, and things that really aren't that important seem to be getting put above that at the moment. And it's like, that shit out there is really, really bad.
I just it's just kind of history repeating itself, and you're looking at, oh my God. And you know, I've got one of my dear Ukrainian friend here, and he's just like in bits. He's not really functioning properly, and forgetting having a Ukrainian. I'm blessed I've got a Ukrainian friend, but I mean that just, and I've got so many Polish friends. My best friend at school was Polish, English, you know, talk about days in High Wycombe, and it's my father was in the Second World War. He died when I was 5, but he was Royal Corps of Signals, and my granddad, bless him, was an Irish orphan, and he was a captain in the medics in the First World War, and this is just like, you know, what are we watching here? Perpetual war without end or something, you know. So anyway, that's me on a cheerful note. But you know,
No, absolutely. Any opportunity to
just,
raise more attention to what's going on
well,
out
I
there,
mean, it's
because
not,
it's wrong.
you're so helpless, and everyone just like thinking, oh, we're safe, you know, I hope we can keep the heat, you know, keep the lights on, you know. And it's just like, I think everyone's a little bit, you know, in this almost a daze at the moment, not of such uncertain times.
Absolutely.
As Denise said in her song, and it's like, you know, I think the music and a bit of people uniting together, and you know, that is not a bad thing. So,
100%.
but you can I just everyone's in a little bit of a fog at the moment, and it's difficult. That's my, so I hope this gets resolved.
Absolutely.
As I do the Yemenite situation, and you know, on and on. We're just,
yeah.
Anyway, God, I'd say like a misery.
And professionally, we've got lots of exciting things happening there, as you touched on at the beginning.
Yeah, well, very importantly, this last week we saw the release of Horace Andy's Midnight Rocker, which I'm very, very proud of, and it's smashing it up. It's absolutely brilliant album. It's his best album, he reckons, as well, and he's delighted with it. Midnight Rocker was released on Friday, and we've got coming up a celebration of the label with this party on the 30th of April 22, which is the delayed On You Sound 40th.
Yeah.
Right. So get on down there.
Absolutely. And if people want to keep up to speed with the label and everything you're up to, where's the best place to keep up to
On
speed?
You Sound website. There's an On You Sound website and information all over the place. So just type in On You Sound or whatever, and I think it will come to you if you're interested. And there's another album released this month, Pay It All Back Volume 8, which is the 8th in the series, and that's a stunner as well. Very, very good. That's coming out to coincide with the date at the end of this month.
Wonderful. Adrian, it's been a real joy talking records with you, mate. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. It's been my absolute pleasure.
Absolutely. Lovely. Thank you.
Okay.
Press stop here.
Thank you, sir.